Hello everybody, welcome back to Inspired by Babies. Today I am going to show you how to paint fingernails and toenails on a reborn baby doll. So for my mixture, I use a little bit of thinning medium. I use Genesis Heat Set Nail Tip, Genesis Heat Set Yellow Ochre, and Genesis Heat Set Flush 08. Now, it's mainly nail tip, but I add just a touch of Flush 08 and just a touch of the yellow ochre so that it's not a harsh white color, because if you look at your fingernails, they're actually a little bit off white. And when I do my nail tips, I want them to barely be able to be seen. And as I'm mixing, you can kind of see the consistency that I like to make the paint for my nail tips. So what I like to do is I use the same hand that I'm using the paint with to help steady my hand and also steady the finger that I'm going to be painting. Say how I'm using my finger to kind of help support the finger that I'm working on at the moment. And what I'm doing is I'm using that toothpick. I'm just touching the paint with it, getting a little bit of paint on the tip of the toothpick. And then I'm going to just barely touch the toothpick to the very, very tip of each of my fingernails and my toenails. And if I make a mistake, I can just easily wipe it off with a sponge and I can start over. And I can tell you, sometimes it might take me 3, 4, 5 tries to get one nail done, but don't be discouraged because, like I said, if you make a mistake, you can just take your makeup sponge and you can wipe it right off as many times as you need to. Now, I like using the toothpick because, as you can see, it gives me very good control. When I use a paintbrush, I always accidentally make the nail tips way too thick, and it makes it a lot easier to control the paint when I use a toothpick. You can see how easily and steady I'm able to keep that toothpick compared to a paintbrush that you just really don't have any control with. I just very carefully and as steadily as I can, just one thin line. I want the line to be as thin as possible. I want to try to make the paint so that you can see the nail tip, but I don't want it to be too white, like it's a French manicure or something, you know what I'm saying? We want it to be a barely able to be seen kind of nail tip. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do the nail tips, and I'm not going to speak through the entire video, but I am going to go ahead and just show you guys the entire process as I am painting the fingernail tips, and then I will touch a little bit back with you guys when we get to the toenails. Okay, I have finished the first hand. Hopefully you guys can see that really well. I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. And now I'm going to go ahead and work on painting the fingernails on the next hand. I know it can be kind of boring when people don't talk through the videos, but the reason why I'm just not fast forwarding it, and I'm also not going to speak through the whole video, is because there's only so much that you can say about it. But I still want you guys to be able to go ahead and kind of see up close how I'm actually doing the painting of the nail tips. And hopefully this will be able to guide you as you're painting your own nail tips on your own reborn baby doll. It does take a little bit of practice, but as you can see, I have found a way with both of my hands to be able to give my hands and the doll hand a little bit of stability so that it's not all shaking while I'm trying to actually paint the nail tip. Okay, and the second hand is done. I think it's turned out gorgeous. Now I'm ready to move on to the toenails. Toenails can be quite a bit more difficult than the fingernails because, as you can see, especially on this pinky, the toenails are very tiny compared to the fingernails. Sometimes there is barely anything to work with, but it's still the same idea. You just want to try to keep your hand as steady as you can. Keep the foot that you're painting as steady as you can. If you mess up, you can wipe it off with a sponge as many times as it takes. It takes, like I said, sometimes I might have to wipe them nails off 10 times. It could take me hours to get nail tips done, because I'm like super picky about how I paint and how things turn out. So, like, literally, it could take me hours just to paint the nails on the fingers and the toes. But it's so worth it in the end because amazing toenails and fingernails is definitely something that our collectors and customers really, really watch for. So I'm just going to do the same thing with the toenails that I did with the fingernails. Just one very as thin as possible line right at the very tip of the nails. I'm going to try to make that line as straight as and neat as possible. And that is pretty much all there is to it, you guys. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to tip the nails on both feet, and then I will show you what to do next. If there really isn't a baby toenail, you don't even really have to tip the baby toenail. I still try to, even if it's just like a little touch of color. But if the baby toe is too little, then don't be afraid to not even add color, because if you look at baby nails, they don't always have a tip. And we're still going to be glossing, so they will still look realistic. Once we are done tipping the nails, we're going to go ahead and let them dry completely, and then we are going to bake all of the limbs at 265 in our new wave oven for 7 minutes before we will be ready to go ahead and gloss them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my limbs baked, and then I will come back here and show you how to gloss the toenails and fingernails. Okay, we are ready to glaze. And what I am using to glaze my fingernails and toenails is going to be a very small detail brush, and I'm going to use Eileen's paper glaze. And for me, this always works out perfectly. The nails, I use this on the nails and the lips, and I think I'll go ahead and show you how I gloss the lips too. And I always add a little bit of the gloss to the corners of the eyes to kind of make it look like the baby's getting ready to cry, or maybe the baby's eyes are watering a little bit. It just adds that little bit of extra realism to it. If the baby has completely open eyes, then sometimes I like to do the entire lower eyelid. And as I said before, I just like to add the gloss to the nails and the lips and the eyes and whatnot. Adding gloss to these areas just adds an extra layer of detail. It gives the nails and the lips that shiny kind of look, then that natural shiny kind of look. And it adds an extra layer of depth and realism to our overall finished product. So what I'm doing here is I'm using my paintbrush just like as if you were painting your own fingernails. I'm just painting it just like that, just as if I'm painting my own fingernails with nail polish. And I'm just going to put a thin layer of this Eileen's paper glaze, just as if I'm painting real nails. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gloss all of my fingernails and my toenails, and then I'll be ready to move on to glossing the lips and the eyes. Okay, this first hand is done, and can you see how that adds to it, how it kind of finishes it off? You can see that the nails are now shiny. So, all right, moving on to the next limb. Okay, I am finished with the hands and feet, and now I am ready to move on to the head. So we are ready to go ahead, and I'm going to gloss the lips. And on this baby, since it's asleep, I'm just going to do the corner of the eyes, and then this baby will be done being glossed. So I'm just going to do the same thing with the lips. I'm just going to go over the entire lip with a thin layer of the Arlene's paper glaze. And as you can see by glossing the lips, I'm giving them that very nice natural kind of moist lip look. And that's exactly what I want. I want the lips to be just a little bit shiny, as if the baby had licked her lips. Nice and shiny, just the way I like them. See how natural and beautiful she looks with shiny lips? And now I'm just going to go ahead and add just a touch of the glazing just to the very corner of her eyes. And then we will be done with glossing. There we go. I think I'm pretty satisfied with how this glossing's turned out. She's looking nice and realistic. And we are officially done with the nail tipping and the glossing of the nails and glossing the lips and the eyes. And this baby is ready to be assembled. And if you haven't seen it already, the assembly video is up on my channel. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.